Lord, we cry out for more of you. We will not be silent. We will not shrink back. We rise, we surrender, we yield. Tear down the walls, break the chains. Let heaven invade this place. Oh, we need you, Lord. We want you, Lord. Come like fire, come like rain. Consume us again. Consume us again. This is the season. This is the season. No more delay. No more retreat. The Spirit of God says, step into destiny. Walk into purpose. The heavens are open. Oil is flowing. I hear the Lord say, people who will not bow to fear. I am raising a remnant who will carry my name. The warriors, the builders, the prophets, those who will go where I send, those who will say yes to the charge.
Good evening, everybody. Listen, I almost started talking. It was on mute. Praise the Lord, everybody. Good evening, good evening. I'm your friend and your brother, Prophet D. Lamiek, and I want to welcome you to another Emerge night. I'm so grateful to the Lord that we are coming back with another night of impartation, conversation, and revelation. And tonight is going to be good. Listen, I need you to get all your cousins, your brothers, your best friends in the room tonight, because we're going to be talking about y'all tonight. We are continuing our series of honor code, and last week we talked about the honor in relationships through the aspect of spiritual parenting and what does that look like in authority. But tonight, we're going to dive a little bit deeper about the honor relationships through brothers and sisters, spiritual parent, leadership, so many other ways in which we can be showing honor that God has required of us. And tonight, I'm so grateful that I'm not doing this by myself. I told you all month long, you're going to be seeing Emerge City leaders and team coming to have a conversation with me. They're going to be asking me some thought-provoking questions. So I'm going to be on the hot seat tonight. And so I just want to welcome you in. I want you to tag a friend. If y'all can do me a favor before we jump into tonight, I need you to tag at least 2 to 3 people and tell them to get in the room. Let's have a conversation. Listen, bring your dinner, get all that good food, get that good, all that, and sit down and let's have a conversation tonight about the honor and relationships. And tonight, who's going to be leading our conversation? He is one of the ones found on our family team here at Emerge City. Y'all see him on live with me before. I have an honor to call him a son in the gospel. I have an honor to walk alongside with him and those others that serve here at Emerge City. And so without further ado, let's bring up the wonderful, the incomparable Ante. He's gonna come on up now. Wow, here we go. See, it was acting up tonight. He wanted to act up tonight. Good evening, great sir. How are you feeling?
Grace and peace, spiritual father of mine. Grace and peace. I'm feeling pretty good. How about yourself?
Listen, I'm excited about tonight, but I'm a little nervous because anybody knows you. You're gonna ask a lot of questions tonight. He is the question extraordinaire, and tonight, no, we're gonna have a good conversation. I'm excited because I believe that this is something that, as we just said behind the scenes, that I believe we're going to tackle a lot of things that we don't talk about generally in church, but
Yeah.
that we need to discuss. And so I'm excited. I'm excited. Can you just tell the people what they're going to be in tune for tonight before you start throwing questions at me? And I got to get on this hot seat. And the people get to tag people in a few minutes. But just tell me what we're going to be really talking about tonight from your perspective.
All right, grace and peace, everybody. So what we're gonna be talking about tonight was more likely is gonna be about how does honor look in relationships. There's a lot of times where we focus a lot on the aspect of the spiritual parent and the child, right? Or the child unto the parent. Children must honor your mother and father. But we're going to also talk about tonight what does it look like when the parent has to honor their children? Friends honoring friends, whether one is leading them, whether they're walking hand in hand. Leaders honoring other leaders, whether they're at odds or they're together. What does that look like? Because honor doesn't just go away just simply because you're in a certain position or you're in a certain space. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but basically, that's just what we're
Because
going
you
to be
said
talking
a
about
big,
tonight.
because you said a big one. Honor even when we're not on the same page.
On the same page. Yeah. We mistake that thing a lot. So that's what you're in tune for tonight. So if you have questions, I'll be looking as we're talking. Please drop them in the comments. Apostle is here to answer all of them. So please, if you got questions, drop them in there. But we have some questions that's going to get us started. So I call them the number of completion because there's 7 of them. But we're going to see if we're going to make it through all areas tonight.
I gotta get my physical Bible out because I feel with you. I feel like you about to do a doozy on it. As Adonna said, let's get to it. Good evening, Heston. Good evening, Marquita. Good evening,
Hello, wife.
my wife, Prophetess. Your wife and my future wife are on here, so let's give them greetings before we both
Hello,
get come.
hello, wife. Hello, Madre. Hi, everyone. Hey, Marquita.
Listen, but
Hey.
I'm gonna let you start off, and I'm following your lead tonight. Let's jump into it.
Roger that, pops. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about, or the first theme, or what have you, is the boundary between influence and control. There's a lot of times where influence and control can go hand in hand, whether we are guiding, following, or walking side by side. How do we discern the exact line between often wisdom that refines the other person and exerting a level of control that might stifle the unique path God has designed for them?
I think that you said something with influence and control. Control is trying to enforce authority that has not been received. When I'm trying to control you, number one, I am trying to manipulate or overthrow an authority that either I've been given because one is subjective to it. Number two, it's insecurity within me. And
Mhm.
then number three, it just looks like honestly that I just see the power I can possess because there's something I'm benefiting from. A lot of times when someone's wanting control over someone, rather than letting the organic nature of relationship or influence happen, it is watch this. I don't want someone to have their own mind. One of the things that we have to do this, and I kind of talked about it last week, when people want to start talking about um submission and all those things, a lot of times we have to be very cognizant of someone's purpose in our life. And
Yeah.
when we don't understand the purpose of someone's relationship in our life, abuse can happen. So let's first say
Mhm.
that. And so the thing about it is submission and control are two different things. And a lot
Totally
of times
different.
people think that when I submit to someone, that means they're controlling me. No, when I'm submitted to someone, I am honoring the authority because there is a level of wisdom that they have to sharpen, watch this, the blind spot. Yeah, we talk about that a lot
Yeah.
here at Emerge City, and we discuss about the blind spot. But when someone says they're trying to control, now is control a bad thing? No, because sometimes you got to control a situation before it gets out of hand. And
Yeah.
that is, I think, something that we've talked about, the aspect, or I just been kind of mentioned about temperament, that in our temperament, in our spaces, when I'm trying to control a matter, let's just say someone is in a heated situation, as a
Mhm.
leader, I'm trying to control that it doesn't go beyond the attainable or goes beyond what it needs to be. Now, how that can be abused is when one tries to underhand for selfish gain. And a lot of times, what happens is, especially in church, when someone's not theologically or biblically sound in development of what church is or what the kingdom concepts are, what many leaders can do or believers can do is begin to control them in the way of their ignorance.
Yeah.
A lot of times, why someone gets into spaces where they feel controlled is because they feel like they're ignorant. So I can feel like
Mhm.
someone's trying to control me if I'm ignorant in an area that's making me uncomfortable. And what begins to happen is that a lot of times we don't ask for clarity. We begin to assume, oh, you're trying to control me. Because now there's uncomfortability. Because with submission, there is sacrifice. With submission, there is a losing. There is some other dynamics. Now,
Mhm.
influence.
Before we
Influence.
get into influence, I'm
Right,
sorry.
right, sure. No.
Let's look at the other side of that coin. Why do people, so when it comes to the person viewer, I know we just explained why some may automatically assume control, but let's say you can't control the situation as the leader,
Mm-hmm,
right? From the child's perspective or from the friend's perspective, because sometimes it's just
mm-hmm.
out of our things. Where do you think the line of the boundary was crossed at in that process somewhere? Like, was there too much familiarity at some point, or was there a blurring of lines? Where did the boundary line come from to where it's like, okay, it went from influence to control, and it's
Um,
not? Does that
I
make sense?
think, yeah, it does. I think sometimes where the blur line comes in, or where the relationship, where something gets out of control, gets untamed, is that we lost our why. We lost our focus.
Okay.
A lot of times, especially something I was having a conversation with someone, and I had to learn, like even now, and I'm going to use my spiritual relationship with my spiritual parent. Very much so, like even when and come into this new season with my spiritual mother, I had to come into a place of relearning her in a new
Mm,
season and not be familiar in the context, not where I breach necessarily my relationship. No, I honor her, but I breach the sense of I hold her to a former version of her that I knew based on my proximity. Now, to
okay.
go what you said, where something gets out of control, let's use a regular relationship where it gets out of control. Is the reason why is there was hidden expectations or hidden misunderstandings. So a lot of times why something's getting out of control is because the reality is we deal with, I think me and you had this conversation one time a while back. A lot of times, if we get into an argument with something, we really need to study the impact of a situation because what other people get is the residue or the aftermath. So you're like, well, why are you going on crazy? Or why is this happening? Or why is this that? And you're like, no, it got out of control because where you're coming at me from is not
Mhm.
the place of this situation. You're
Right.
coming at me from a place that's been triggered that you never studied the impact. And what we do a lot of times, especially, and I'm only going to use it because again, this from experience, the black church, we suppress things, not just from a black church place, but from a black culture place. Again, something where we grew up in a culture or our parents grew up in a culture where, you know, what happens in this house stays in this house, or don't tell nobody my business, or
Yeah,
I'm the parent, you're the child. So we taught a culture of suppression.
that's true.
So a lot of times what happened in the church, and I think I said it last week, the chaos in the world started in the house. So we want to control the house, and we want to control like things in the church. We got to deal with the function of the house, and that's one of the outlines we have to break is suppression. We have to suppress, and then we have to really understand the difference between offense and critique or feedback. I like to use the word feedback because a
Yeah.
lot of times what we deem as control is feedback. Because control, when someone's trying to control you, there's no benefit to you. There's no benefit. There's no growth. There's no edification. There is only gain for the recipient, not for the giver.
One
But
sided.
with, yeah, you understand. But when someone's giving you feedback, it can hurt. But is there benefit to it? Is there revelation to it? Is there any truth to it? And you know, we got to take the meat and throw away the bone. I think that's one of the biggest things. So if control ever gets out of hand in a relationship, we have to first in ourselves look at, okay, why did this get out of hand?
Mhm.
Are we on the same page? Are we, and you know, in relations in life, we could be having a conversation, but are we having the same conversation?
Right.
Are
Yeah.
you hearing what I'm saying, or are you hearing to defend what I said?
Yeah. That's
Like, are
good.
you trying to combat against what I said to you, or are you really listening to understand I'm not attacking you? And a lot of times in the church, We don't know this sense of honor, what we're talking about. We don't know rebuke. We don't know these things. So a lot of times when it comes to when something gets out of hand, it's not necessarily because familiarity kicked in. It might come in because we haven't healed.
Or addressed.
You understand? And so I'm coming into relationships. Watch this.
Damaged.
I'm giving you slighted clean slate. I know that's that bad English, but you normally say, "Oh, I'm giving you a clean slate." The reality is, you give somebody a clean slate when they do something that someone else did that they never repaired, and they don't get the backlash of what other people did.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how you heal. And I think sometimes in church we have not been taught because we don't really deal with emotional intelligence, emotional healing. We deal with this spiritual. We push through. The reality is this: if something gets out of hand, uncontrollable, how do we evaluate the situation? Why did we get here? What was misunderstood? And the reality is now coming to, like, if there was familiarity, how do we repair it? Like, that familiarity, I think this is one of the things that church, especially leaders, we don't think Christians can hurt us. Like reality, like real talk. When a Christian hurt us, we think the world comes in there. I can't believe you. You're not acting like a child of God. That's the first thing. Because in our mind, we have had, and I feel my help right here, a hidden burden of perfection to someone. And sometimes we have a hidden perfection even to ourselves when we mess up, not because of childhood, not even because of upbringing, not because of trauma, because we know we serve a perfect God. And when we say we strive to be like Jesus, we are not looking for the nature of his character. We're looking at the nature of his perfection. And we have to realize we'll never be perfect. But if we look to be blameless, which is not looking to make fault, then we'll have his character. And understand, even when we have trials and tribulations, this doesn't mean detriment to a relationship. That just because we have an offense, just because something got out of control, it doesn't mean that it's over. It doesn't mean the season is up. It doesn't mean I need to run. It doesn't mean, what, God, this is you. No, you got to deal with, are you trying to get the nature of Christ or reach a hidden expectation of perfection that you'll never reach? But reality is we have done it as a church, rather teaching how to live the character of Christ and not the perfection of Christ, because that we cannot reach, but we can reach his nature. So
you getting ahead of us.
I knew you were a curveball, so I had to be prepared. But no, I think that's the reality. We're not talking. I'm glad you asked it about the conflict.
Yeah, it is the reality. And it's because you have brought up something, you know what I'm saying? We are so offended by church people where everywhere you look, when something happens with a church person, look at the media, for example. We all use social media. We use Facebook, X, Instagram, everything. When a leader falls publicly, it's totally different than even when a celebrity falls publicly. There's a total different set of rules and standards in which they are judged by, or which they are looked at a specific lens through. And it's like, you're supposed to be this standard of perfection. Why do you think that culture was developed, and how does that affect honor? And is it even repairable after being in it for so long?
You're asking a very triggering question, because this goes back to slavery. We want to be perfect so that we won't get whipped.
Wow.
And the only way we could navigate getting whipped was through our faith.
Yeah.
So when I think I messed up, we realize grandma, great-great-grandma, somebody pray for me, those traditional songs, that how I got over and all those things. We were taught through a slavery mindset and many concepts how to have faith. But that was to never get someone upset, because at the sense of not being perfect, you were hanged. I feel my help right here. At the sense of not being perfect, you were judged. At the sense of, your vocalness, watch this, you were crucified. If I spoke that into injustice, If I spoke to respect, I was hanged. So now a black society feels anytime that I don't reach perfection, subconsciously, we've been taught that we're going to get chastisement. That we taught our kids, when you go outside, don't wake the white man mad. Let's talk about it. When we go outside, you gotta walk this way, talk this way, act this way. Because if not, you're gonna get some trouble. Trouble gonna come to you. And then when you didn't do right by that generation in the 50s and the 60s, guess what? You were beat because you knew that you gonna bring retribution to this household. So I'm gonna beat you from it. So we never taught that life is a mess up. But then what we did, we took them to church and we covered it and we never addressed. We never had a conversation because we were never able to have a space to say, well, what do I do when I never get it right? We never had that conversation because we were trying to meet the perfectionism rather than the character. And this is where we get people like a Malcolm X and that was spoke about character and the nature of an individual. Then we get, Martin Luther King, who spoke about, we're not judging by the color of our skin, but the content, of our character. Yeah, again, all of that, because when we look at the honor, watch this, it's not a color. Honor is not a denomination. Honor is not a title. Honor is a stance of a person.
Yeah.
And so when I don't like, that's why for us, even when we are, born in sin, shaped in iniquity, that's why when we sin, we don't run to Jesus, we run from him.
Oh my God.
Because we are thinking that when we sin, we are having a slave mentality rather than going to for restoration and clarity and guidance and wisdom. We run to and staying away because the thing about, watch this, we're still living under Adam's guilt.
Yeah.
Even though we've been bought with the blood, and we still have that mentality like, Adam, let me run and hide. Because anytime I mess up, I'm afraid. But God shows us through Adam that, yes, I'm not mad at you for messing up.
Not taking
I
accountability.
get you because you don't take accountability.
Yeah.
When you look at Genesis, the Lord, he says, Adam, where art thou? He said, I'm naked. He said, who told you you were naked? What was the next line? I said, the woman you gave me.
Shift and blame.
See, the thing about it is that lack of accountability. When you know when you can really have honor or respect, or you honor a relationship, that even if someone else is wrong, but you have fault in that, you're not trying to justify your behavior because of theirs.
Outside accountability, why do you think I just hit Lord? Okay, yeah, because I can't. Why do you think we honor wounded and not say anything or address anything? Because this is a big one. Wounded. This is a big one because there's a lot of relationships. You can be in a house, you know what I'm saying, and some may call it fear when you fear your parent, but there are those that honor their parents. And again, we talked about that slave mentality mindset, thinking of just like a mother and a child. Even in marriage, it doesn't have to just be a mother and child, you know what I'm saying, or in friends. There's a lot of cases and situations where we honor wounded. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're unaware of it, but when we are made aware of it, we still choose to honor. Is that blindness? Is that loyalty? Or is that control?
Honor wounded, meaning we honor dysfunction? I want to make sure I understand.
In a sense of like, I'm honoring you, but I know for a fact I have X, Y, and Z problems. I'm coming to you as a spiritual child. The Lord said, you're my spiritual father. I'm your spiritual child. I honor you, right? But I know in the back of my mind, I have X, Y, and Z going on that I haven't recovered from the previous person. I'm speaking generally. So we do this a lot. Hey, you're my new friend. You're my new bestie. You know what I'm saying? But my old best friend has slept with my man. And so in my mind, I'm trying to think about keeping you away from
I'm looking for the traits. So watch
traits. Yeah. So how do you honor wounded?
You can't.
Like, well, why do we, my bad? Why do we still honor?
Because we try. Because the truth matter is we're in denial.
My God.
We're in denial of the impact. me and you've had this talk about we can be aware of a situation, but we never assess the impact.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is we want the relationship. We want the brother. We want the sister. You know, we want certain things. But if you don't assess the damage, you'll make someone pay, even unintentionally. Because the reality is you will see them through the lens of the last relationship. New person, same mentality. And
Why do
so
you think
why
we
we
rush into a
honor,
relationship?
say it again.
Why do you think we rush into a relationship of honor when the last one
Because the
failed?
reality is we want it. Because
Okay.
God has made us that way. But the thing about it is, it's not even being truthful that, oh, this person honored me, of that broke me, or whatever. It's not about that. You know what it really is? This is the biggest part. Do you want to fix what was broken? Or do you want justification to be dysfunctional?
Mm,
Let
that's
me
good.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna tell you because I can't really see. Do you honor the relationship as much as you honor yourself? Because you can't honor something when you don't honor you. And what I need to I feel right here. I'm gonna say this. You have to assess what honor was taken from you in the impact of the situation. What made you feel about yourself? What it did. Because a lot of times when we go through traumas and experiences in our life, it takes a level of identity. It takes a level of perspective. It takes a level of certain things. And so if you're coming into a relationship, so let's use it for me, coming back into pastoring. If I did not heal, and not just heal from what was hurting me, but who I hurt it, then I would make every relationship pay for the last season. I would think that, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. That where I had to really give a clean slate to say, hey, that even if something's triggering, let's use me and you for a second. Like there have been times like this triggered me, but I had to say, you know what? I know your heart.
Yeah.
And be intentional about debunking. Hear me. This is something that's going to help the people. Hope y'all ready to cut yourselves. In a sense of, got to cut this off. It's not your job to debunk it. It's my job to debunk it because it's in my soul.
Yeah.
And
That's
one
right.
of the things we have to do is when I enter this relationship, what is my perspective about it? Even in monogamous relationships, in spiritual parenting, in brotherhood, what is the definition of brother? So let's have a conversation. Hey, I do this a lot of times when people come into my life. Hey, I want to bond with Davon. Let's talk to just generally Davon. I need you to know Davon's personality because I need you to know that whatever I do is not to intentionally hurt you, trigger you, bother you, or anything, but for you to evaluate if, one, I am the kind of person you want in your life, but number two, you to be able to be exposed like, well, this is who I am. So that in the essence of conflict, because conflict reveals the truth of any relationship.
Yeah.
But in the essence that there is a conflict, you can't say, well, I didn't know that about you. Now, are you going to know everything about a person? No. But there needs to be a basis. But also, and we talked about this as our relationship evolved, we both had this conversation, and I told you this is what I got from my spiritual mother, is what does spiritual father mean to you? Had to ask you that. Then you have to say, well, you asked me back, well, what does spiritual father mean to me? You know what I'm saying? Because, okay, you think it's this, I think it's this. Because if your perception and my understanding are on two different perspectives, there will be conflict.
Can
And
that
a
still
lot
be
of times, the reason why we have dysfunctional relationships as a whole is because there's not a mutual understanding of the role.
With that,
so
before we get too far, talking about cultivating spaces for mutual greatness, true spiritual connection means actively desiring the other person to thrive and achieve greater things. How do we actively demonstrate honor? By creating intentional spaces for each true spiritual connection. And how do we also be intentional about creating spaces for growth, success, and potentially surpassing your own limitations without allowing?
Let's do the first part. I'm going to break it down. So
right.
The first
So
part,
how do we demonstrate honor
the relationship? Yeah. What's the first part?
With each other to grow.
Okay. So how do we create space for each other to grow?
Mhm.
And this is the reality. This is the truth.
How do we demonstrate honoring it?
How do we understand? It's that, watch this. Let's use pastor. My job as a pastor is not to hold you, but to refine you. I'm not a manager. My job is to help you spiritually grow.
Yeah.
Give you wisdom. So it's to give you hard truth, but not be offended if you don't listen. Now that's hard, because when I value a relationship, that's where the offense comes in. When we don't be honest about how much we value the relationship when someone doesn't listen. Not because the reality is, oh, I want you to listen to me.
That's good.
Because you can't see from what I'm sitting.
Right.
Okay? So if I honor you and I want you to grow, that means even having hard conversations.
Yep.
And growth requires dirt. You want to talk about growing in a relationship? How much dirt can be happening in that relationship?
Right.
That's I won't get you after this, because I'm telling you, you are pulling something. And it's all right. It's all right, because you help people tonight. We talk about we want growth in a relationship. Let's go here. I'm trying to really understand this. You want to talk about you really value relationships? Watch this. David and Nathan.
Yep.
Value the relationship. Let's talk about this. David sins with Bathsheba, and this is in the Old Testament. David sins with Bathsheba.
Yeah.
Nathan confronts him, but doesn't attack him. You have to know the difference between somebody confronting something and someone attacking you. A confrontation can feel like attack, but how do you know the difference? When it exposes the sin rather than damaging the character, meaning the person. I'm telling you, hey, what you did was wrong. Now, the reality of this is, how do you fix it? I don't leave you in the dysfunction. I'm trying to watch this, because my thing is not to expose you or look at your sin. When Nathan came and spoke to David, he came to speak to him to restore him. But David had to deal with the sin of his own actions. But Nathan, as the prophet, said, hey, listen, you out here doing God knows what. Let me protect your identity by addressing the behavior. You think you this great king and all that. But if you keep doing this, it's going to damage, it's going to taint the anointing. When you honor the growth, you will speak to the identity of the person, revealing to them the issue that can damage their future at the expense of their irritation. I'm willing to irritate you to make you responsible. I am willing. Now, the part is the person's reception to it.
Yeah.
You have to be receptive, because the thing about it is, if you don't know the truth of a relationship, because this is the thing, I can say I want a spiritual parent, I can say I want a pastor, but my response to correction, my response to wisdom reveals the truth of that relationship. You've heard me say it many a times from my own experience. My spiritual mother rebuked me. Levy had to talk with her today about it. It's to make me come closer, not further.
Yeah.
And Levy had to talk with her today about, just the season. I mean, we had a real hard talk. And I said, I had to accept whatever you tell me, in the sense of not just being blinded and aimless, but we're in the season where one is trying to go. If you're my leader, God put you as my leader for a reason. And if I don't have the clarity, the Bible says, watch it, in the multitude and the counsel, there is safety. And I told you, I feel it right here. Many of us don't want to be safe. The reason why we cannot honor relationships is because they have to do with two things: the spirit of pride and our rebellion.
Yeah.
Because many of us are coming into church with this dysfunction of living our lives for others, especially our parents, that when we come into the church house, we think spiritual parents, pastors, Even God himself is taking away something from us that we want for ourselves. We have not come to terms with the will of God for our life. So even when the will of God puts us in spaces and places to bring out his will for us, we are bucking up to the relations, brothers, friends, pastors, all of that. Because the reality is we have not come into alignment with God's will.
Yeah.
And
And
those
what you
relationships,
yeah, come on.
those relationships serve no purpose because I want you to tell me what I want to hear. It's like Micah when he had to give the prophetic word. The king said, "Well, let me go on." And Micah said, "I can't give you what everybody's about to give you."
Right.
That thing about it. Watch this. I want to give this statement. I want everybody to write this in the comments. I'm about to say something very offensive. And you go to the next question. And I know we got questions in the comments. And this is this: if you cannot be corrected, you cannot be covered.
Ooh.
If I can't correct you, I can't cover you. What I am, what you want me to really be, is an enabler.
Yeah.
You want me to be a yes man.
Yep. There's no honor in
That's
that.
in any relationship. The Bible says a friend is born for adversity. Iron sharpens iron. Let's talk about regular brother sister. If as a brother I see you in dysfunction, we gotta be slowful. We say that's not me. That can't be me. You are sometimes blinded to your own ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use this analogy. Has anyone ever been funky before? Musty. And because you've been in your own atmosphere for so long, you don't smell your own must.
Yeah.
But someone that hasn't been in your atmosphere, someone that
Right.
hasn't been around you, someone that's coming into, whoa, what in the world?
It alarms them immediately.
Because their atmosphere is different. And you're like, what happened? You're like, I don't smell that bad. You don't know you smell that bad because you've been sitting for too long.
Yeah.
You become accustomed.
Blind.
Now, watch. Let's use the analogy. If you put crabs, watch this, in boiling water, they're going to try to get out. But you put crabs in cold water and adjust the heat progressively, they'll die in it because their body has adjusted to the atmosphere they've been in the longest. So they don't feel the heat changing to alarm them to get out. And that's what has happened to some of us. We have been in the atmosphere so long that when we hear that, no, you had this dysfunction, or no, you're doing this, and no, you're doing that. No, because you've been in it for so long, but also immune. You have,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is another thing. This is another thing. We have had people who are, and I don't know what the terminology is, but their sense of smell is off.
Oh my God.
They can't smell you. There we go. They're congested in their own self. So because you've been around congested people who, while there are things that have inflamed their own spiritual sense, diluted their spiritual sensitivity, you think because, people are just saying, oh, that's just them. Oh, that's okay. No, that's okay for now. But I can see where you're trying to go. That's detrimental for later.
Yeah.
And it's the last way I'm going to say it. How you eat in your house sometimes ain't the way you eat at a business table.
Yeah.
But sometimes you might, because if you have not been taught the etiquette that this is not the way you eat outside, you'll bring a home mentality into the wrong atmosphere.
That's
But yeah,
good. That's good. Going back to you said like some people on the receptive side having stubbornness and pride. And I mean, I could use me a little bit because I definitely gave you a little pushback or a lot, you know what I'm saying, depending on what it was about. As we continue to grow and stuff like that, we've had times. And so for other people out there in any type of relationship at all, when you are met with stubbornness and pride as the leader and they're non-receptive, but the Lord tells you to keep stewarding. How do you do that without coming to a place of without allowing insecurity or comparison to enter your bond and like interrupt? what you're doing, because I know that's a toll that it takes, because we don't talk about that. We talk about the leader all the time. So and so want me to do this. I don't see why I got to do that. This don't make no sense. Why I got to do that this way? They don't even got their stuff together. They're asking me to do this and da 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 da. And you got all this pushback, but the Lord says still steward them, because that's honor. How do you deal with that without allowing your flesh to seep in and disrupt the bond and still maintain honor? This is what I was talking about earlier with that honor when you're at odds. What does that look like? So that we can all learn that tonight, practice that, and actually live by it, opposed to just speak.
Y'all gotta give me a second, because he asked him, and he know I'm about to go. Jesus, the reality is, Deontay Old Fincher. I'm gonna call you on that. I'm just gonna say that. Deuce, to say that, to answer that question, this takes maturity of a leader.
What does that look like?
I have to understand that even when you have an off day, watch this. This is the number one thing. I might be your spiritual father, but I'm someone's son.
Okay. Wow, that's good. That's good.
So a lot of times, and you know, I've said this with you in our conversations, I handle you sometimes in a space from a place of where, like, hey, that was you too. Like, even if, and there's been times we being transparent, like there's been times I've said something you didn't see it at first, or you'll be like, why you didn't say something earlier? And I'm like, well, your response, or or I could have said something the wrong way, or my tone, it led left. The reality is, I always found resolve in what the Lord said to me about who you are to me. So let me first start off with that. That nothing you do, I had to learn, and this is maturity. Is it every time? No. I had to learn your behavior is not personal, even if it feels like it.
That's good.
Even if I feel like, is he doing this to me? Is I doing something wrong? Am I missing God? Because again, our responses, we're human. So I'm like, God, did I miss you? Because we think as leaders that every time we say something, they're just going to listen. No. Because a leader, you don't always listen.
Yeah.
So, like, that's we have to kill that theology. Then also, how do you keep stewarding? Because I don't look at you for your now.
Explain.
Like, even in the hard moments, I had to see and sit when I was in his shoes what happened. But look at me now. And look at, okay, where's he going? What's happening? We had a conversation, and I was like, you're not doing nothing wrong. It's your prophetic, and I have to know how to also speak wisdom. Again, not speak to the issue, speak to the resolve. And my job is, again, not to manage you. My job is to give a wisdom.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to leaders, like when you can see somebody with, it's like, and this is another thing. I don't handle every member, every spiritual child the same. I'm going to say this to leaders. Every person I pastor is not my spiritual child. Number
on
one.
The flip coin, everybody that has parents can't talk to them all the same. So you can't have a relationship.
Right. My 5 boys, I learned that with them. So also how I learned how to pastor, because my 4, you know, all of them are different. Jesus God. All of them are different. So some are, what are you doing? Some is like, hey, I gotta say, hey. Some is like, now if you don't get up, you got to do a little threat. I'm talking to you. No, a little threat. Not because, again, personality. I had to learn, but as a leader, from the leader's perspective, to find the honor is, now this is something big. the Lord gives me insight, revelation, and if the Lord tells me to tell you something and you don't listen, I have to realize you're dishonoring God, not me.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get
But
to.
and that's why I did not take it personal. Like, ooh, because this is a big thing for leaders.
Hmm.
You can't save them from everything.
And on the flip side of that, real quick, Marquita had said, "What about from the perspective of the ones of us being parented, mentored, and pastored?
All right, let
From
me.
that,
Oof.
from
Okay,
that,
go ahead. Go ahead.
from that perspective, Marquita, I would say honestly, you have to deal with the ideology of making them your hero. We make them our heroes so much, our pastors, our mentors. Even I'm guilty of that before. Sometimes it's like, because everyone knows, or if you don't know, the Lord used Prophetess Mahogany, my spiritual mother, you know what I'm saying, to save my life and change my life and restore my covenant with God. But I also had to understand that she is a conduit of the anointing that comes through her. She's not the one that did the work, he did the work through her. And so my thing was I had faced rejection a lot. So when most people that deal with rejection, it's hard for them to honor. Most people that deal with rejection, it's hard for them to honor. Why? Because that rejection puts them in a place where it's like, I want to be saved, I want to be chased, I want to be sought after. And so you're not even thinking about what the leader has going on. You're not thinking about these things. Madre, I literally want to put you on blast a little bit. You know what I'm saying? She said, one thing my madre always said, you know what I'm saying? She said, I realized, she told me, she said, she realized something. She said, everybody gonna call up on you. They don't care what you got going on. And that's true, Marquita. That's what we be doing from our perspective. We don't be caring what the leader have going on, but we be expect them to be perfect, ready, available, in the right attitude, right mind, right clothes, right timing, everything when we call on them. And that's just not realistic because it's just like, how am I supposed to expect you to have your life together and tell you is that's like me saying you better show up for me, but you ain't show up for yourself. You better be there to help me through this, but you didn't help yourself. You ain't even think about it yourself first. You immediately thought my hero. You got to save me because you're a child of God. You got to save me because you're the leader that God has placed in my life. This is your responsibility. No, it's God's responsibility. He's using that person, and it is your responsibility to go to God through that person. You always have to remember, and he said it, it's the honor that you're vowing with God, not the person. And I believe, just to start to answer that question, 'cause I know Apostle got more stuff to say, Marquita, but from our perspective, the sons, just speaking from experience and from what I've seen with my own two eyes, is because we have to kill this ideation or ideology of wanting to be saved. We have a superhero complex, so we enforce that on them. And then when they don't show up, we then give ourselves probable cause to be like, see, they all the same. None of them ain't gonna ever help me. I'm by myself. When really you're surrounded by love. And when really you're surrounded by everything that you need, but sometimes we won't be able to see that because again, when he talked about sitting in your own mess, blinded, with blindness, nose blind. When you can't smell yourself, you're nose blind. But the main thing that popped in my head was when somebody first walk up, it's alarming to them. Like me, y'all know me. If I smell somebody that stink, my nose go up quick. What's going on? I'm gonna politely pull them to the side like I always do after a while and see how they're doing. Because if you're somewhere assaulting somebody's nose, I'm not looking at how you smell. I'm looking at how your spirit smell. What's really going on that you're not talking about, right? It starts with us being aware of our situations. What are we dealing with? If you're dealing with rejection, if you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with these things, from our perspective, we have to lay those at the feet of God before we go to who God sent. If not, we're making them a God. When I say hero complex, that's what I'm saying. You're making the God out of the person God has sent, and you're replacing God with them. And so when they let you down, God lets you down. And this is why my madre talks about it all the time. The first thing everybody drops when something go bad, especially when you being mentored, pastored, or led, is church, or is God, is the vision, is the ministry.
To say this, to build what you said, and I want to say that that took a lot to be vulnerable. That took a lot, and I commend you um, because I think one of the times we don't ever be honest that we could, I think I talked about last. We are the leak. We're causing. And you said something about the leader. They're going through dysfunction. We're going through dysfunction. We got our own issues, but we're so insensitive because the truth of the matter is, and going back what you said about we want saving, it's not just even the leader we want saving. We want God always. That's why He's always in a saving aspect. We don't ever go to a deep of maturity because I want to be saved. Because the reality is, and I'm about to say something, it's not that you want God to save you. You 9 times probably want that parent or that family to save you. And when you accept the reality of your life, you will put these hidden expectations on God. You put it on people, on things, and what you're doing is walking in spiritual ignorance. And that's why you really can't honor, because you don't want to take accountability and responsibility, because the reality is you don't want honor, you want saving. I want you to save me, and I never want to change. When I honor you as a leader, when I honor you as a spiritual father, when I honor you as a mentor, I am teaching you value, watch this, to yourself.
My God.
And even in that, when you said this, Marquita, I got to say to myself, did you save yourself correctly? Because there's a proper saving to salvage or saving to grow or to change. And a lot of times you can't save yourself out of something that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Fully save. And what what many of us have to think is saving is really survival. Yeah. It's the survival place. It's really called the shelter. Like we get into that shelter, and the natural aspect of shelter gives you the bare necessities. Yeah. It doesn't give you the abundance, but because the purpose of it is to be a launching pad, not a station, not a station. And what has that was good, Jesus. What has happened to some of us, we have spiritually been this staying in the shelter, never want to get on our own. Because you know why? We know that the bare necessities are going to come. That's security. When we get to our own bed, we got to provide our own food, got to pay our own lights. And we don't want the maturity. So what then we do? If you ever, I've known people to be in a shelter. I've worked for a shelter. And you know what's so crazy? People in the shelter get mad at the rules of the shelter because they make the shelter become their home and not their transitional place. So you get mad at people telling you to grow and to get out of this because you made something that was supposed to be a transitional place a permanent stay.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So you thinking, oh, that was, and that's why this is the part. That was in one season. But when you get to your own, it's immaturity. Yeah. And it might have been immaturity in this last season, but it wasn't as detrimental in this next season. And that's the mentality that we have to come to in the church. Do you really want to mature? And that's why people say, oh, I want you to be my spiritual father. I want you to be my leader. I want you to be my spiritual mother. I want you to be this. I want you to be that. Let's see what happens when I tell you no. Let's see what happens when I tell you something you don't want to hear. Let's see what happens when me and you don't agree. This is the big part. This is the part we don't talk about. Let's see how you still honor me even if when I get it wrong for you.
Yeah, that's really
we don't talk about that part. Your leaders don't always get it right. But can you still see the honor that God placed on them for you, even when they get it wrong, to understand when you are human? This is why the Bible says, pray for those that rule you. When you really intercede, can you discern that, like, I think it's a show that many people may know about. It's called All American. And it's a character named Khalil and Amina. And Khalil always used to want Amina to save and want to save her, always to be there, relying. And another character that they had Amina had a connection with named KJ, was having this issue with Khalil. And he one day said something. He said, you keep asking for her to be there for you, but have you ever assessed what's going on with her? And she might need something that right now she can't give you, or she's in a greater need
that you can't give her.
You understand? Or just in a greater need to where for a moment, watch this. When do you pull back in your leader? Not looking for anything. Looking to lift up their arms. Because guess what? Let me say this to you. We want to talk about being sons and daughters, even brothers and sisters, but we hear sons and daughters. We're talking about it. Sometimes your leader is not winning the battle because you're not lifting up their arms. Some battles require you to put yourself down to lift them up. Because if they win, you win. It's like if the house eat, we eat. But we need some Aaron's and hers that I am willing. That's why there's levels in sonship. I need some Aaron's and hers that's willing to put down everything else you're doing and hold up these arms. Because as long as these as long as these arms are up, guess what? We win the battle. And not look for any credit, not look any recognition, not looking for. No, I'm coming because at the end of the day, if you succeed, I see my success. And a lot of times we want our own success and we don't want to be in the limelight. We don't want to be in the shadows. You see, as in the shadows and not realizing, watch this, their shadow is your protection. Oh, Jesus. Them blocking out certain things and you only being in the shadow is protecting you from certain things that what they go through, you don't got to go through. And that's the thing. You talk about your real son or daughter, you're willing to die for a version of you and literally become the version that God has called that leader to cultivate in you that you have never seen. You are willing. Do y'all not realize when Moses was called? Y'all want to talk about sons? This ride right here. You want to talk about being a son? When Moses was called by God, Joshua left his household, left everything and followed. You want to talk about being a son? To the reality, you have to lose a version of you that you want to live. Jesus himself went through like, I don't want to die this way. But not my will.
Your will.
We didn't get to that point where you got to carry a weight, carry a life that you didn't even sign up for. You was voluntold. But God. You a son.
Yeah, with that. I was gonna say real quick, like when you were talking about, yeah, that's cool. When you were talking about maturity, from our perspective too, what I can say is from like the one that's yielding. I could also say that one thing that popped in my mind immediately while you were talking was David and Saul. When Saul gave him his armor, but it didn't fit. It took a certain level of maturity, even in young David, to realize that, hey, I cannot use this, right? And understanding what you can and cannot use is very pivotal and paramount and going forth in the protection of that shadow. And a lot of people don't understand learning to be in the seat of a second, which is those that follow and lead behind. And of course, you have Elisha, and then you have the school of the prophets with Elijah, right? But being a second, he was always protected. He was always guarded. Wherever you go, I go. And then when it came time for him to get a double portion, he was close enough. He said, because if when I ascend, you must see the mantle. When you see the mantle, you grab the mantle. I think that's just like very profound, because it's like, in order for us, we want to live in this shadow space. We want our hand to be held, but the thing is, our hand is being held, but we can't see it. And so I'm getting into what you talked about, assigning weight beyond the agreement. We often mistakenly equate honoring someone with unwavering agreement or silent compliance. But since true biblical honor is fundamentally about assigning immense weight and value to a person, how can we practically demonstrate that we highly value the spiritual weight of the other person, that the other person carries, even in moments when we completely disagree? And this is talking about from father to son, son to father, husband to wife, wife to husband, all planes.
I'm gonna be honest. As soon as you said all this, I thought about Isaac. You want to talk about glory? You want to talk about you really submitted? You really for this relationship? Go on the table for it. Be willing. Let me tell you something. You want to know if you're really for this relationship? You can serve without a rebuttal. Abraham put his son, who God promised he was going to give him, on the table and said, I'm willing to kill it. I'm not going to talk about, watch this. I had the submission to Abraham. I'm talking about Abraham's submission to God.
Hannah and Samuel.
Like, I am willing. I trust you as a son. Remember, every father is a son. You as my father are telling me to kill something that I love.
That's a good question, Michael.
Like, kill something that I love. Kill something that I fought for. Kill something that I prayed for. Kill something I cried and fasted and prayed. Kill something. You know how much he said? I trust you more than what you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
He put it on the table. You know when you really submitted to a marriage? When you're willing to kill even your hidden expectation of what you think your wife should be or your husband should be and learn them for them. Or you like Hosea. Watch this. The Lord told him to go marry a prostitute. See, we talk about we really submitting. Well, you gotta submit to a thing you don't like. Submit to a thing
because that's a different type of
thing to a, like you talk about you submit. See, this is the real thing. You know how much you have honor when you can submit to a process. Hear me. Personally, naturally in mind, you said practical. I'm going to use. I am an educator in education, work as a teacher. Watch this. The Lord has anointed and allowed, not anointed, the Lord has allowed me to enter a new season of principle. Watch this. Because of the time period of this transition, I had to stay in a role that I was formerly accepted the other role, but I needed to sit for 3 months in a role for something that I was already assigned to somewhere else. Dig a little deeper. So now, watch this. My mind shifted that, oh, yeah, I got the position. I signed the contract. Mr. Felton, we need you to sit in this role because for what is needed right now, it's more important for you to be here. Watch this. Than be where you want to be. I had to trust my leadership. This is the part. What do you do when you feel you outgrow the seat that you got to sit somewhere else? See, I had to sit and submit. And what I had to do is now become creative where I was, that I won't watch this impact my students because of my disgruntledness. Because my behavior don't just impact me. It impacts things around me.
Yeah.
So now I got this role. I got this responsibility. Let me see how much I honor. Watch this. Not just my job, but my kids, the ones I said I love. That even though, watch this, I'm moving into this, can I still show up every day and pour into them as if nothing has changed. Be there for them, knowing that I have a higher role, knowing all these things. This now, kicker today. Got to work, middle of the day. I lost access to my building because the paperwork went through and the day was to transition. Watch this. That even though I have this this authority, this role, and now the key don't work to get in this door, I can literally say, well, listen, the paperwork that went through. I can literally say, I was making this joke. Well, now they said, Mr. Fellow, we need you to use a sub badge because technically your paperwork is to another location. So you're only here temporarily. So I could have said, now I said it as a joke, but the Lord was showing me something. That even though the access in the building change, my responsibility to the role I have doesn't change. So just because I sign in or do certain things differently doesn't mean I show up now, watch this, to a sub-level position. Because I have to remember the watch this, the title I'm called to it, even out the title. That even though I am functioning as a teacher, I'm still a principal.
Mm-hmm.
When you can walk in an anointing before a title, that means you're prepared for it.
I know. That's good.
Even when you feel it on you, even when it's recognized, even when people are aware, until the date comes of my transition, physically when I transition over, I still have to be honored with the seat that I have. Do not allow the arrogance of the future to make you kill your present. I can literally say, well, I already signed the contract. I even go up and, well, listen, you know what? Just move me to my next school. I could do there were so many things going on to me. But the crazy part is when I started taking on the season I'm in and watch this maximizing in it until it tells me to leave, until it pulls me to leave. Watch this. Until the voices I'm submitted to say, Mr. Felton, it's your time to go. That's real honor. To honor and to do, even when you feel like there's more to it. To honor, and we can't do that. We can't do that. That's why it's so hard to do that with God, with the sacrifice and the giving and the what? Do you know who I am? Do you know what God does? Do you know that's yeah, I'm
Hey man, I'm gonna get into Marquita's question here,
sure.
but she had touched on where I wanted to go, so we finna go there.
Sure. Go ahead.
That was really good. And so, talking about honor and the disruptive truth, right? We see in the Bible, Eli had profound wisdom to recognize that God was speaking directly to Samuel when he himself cannot hear his voice. How do we cultivate the mutual humility required to validate and honor a distinct truth the other person brings, especially if that truth disrupts the established comfort zones of our relationship?
I
And
think the truth. I think to answer that, it's okay. To answer that part first, if you can write down the second part, I know you got the second part. I want to make sure that it's both parts.
okay.
Eli wasn't intimidated by what he mentored. So my thing is, I have to know the timing and the season of this relationship.
Okay.
There's a sensitivity. My sensitivity is not to you. My sensitivity is to God. That Eli had to be sensitive to the Lord. That even, let's just say, Samuel could have had all these prophetic moments, but he had to be sensitive to the Lord that this wasn't just a moment, but this was a confirmation to this was essential. And so, that's what that was. He had to have a sensitive. So it wasn't just Samuel sensitive, because what could have happened is Eli could have deterred him. Eli could have said, because again, Samuel wasn't aware.
Right.
And that's the maturity about a leader. That I'm not intimidated because I see you now surpassing me. I'm seeing you now growing. I'm seeing you now. And that's any relationship, even brothers and sisters, where I want you to go. We don't become Joseph's brothers.
Yeah.
Because we either can be an Eli to want Samuel to go and surpass the way he now says, whatever the Lord shares with you, for me, share. Or we could become like Joseph's brothers and disgruntled because it's not me.
Yeah.
Either one, to where, again, we also can become like a Reuben. Reuben was the eldest brother, but he kept silent. He could have saved Joseph, but he never stepped in because, watch this, it's not that he didn't honor Joseph. He didn't honor his seat as the eldest.
Yeah.
He was never cultivating what that eldest seat had. He never understood. So again, we can sometimes put somebody in a seat that they don't understand. So when they don't meet the expectations, then guess what? We're mad that someone got thrown into slavery. So no, you got to realize, was Reuben prepared to be the eldest child? Or did you put so much in Joseph that you had nothing left for Reuben? Did you just train him in one dimension of the eldest child to know how to tend sheep and to keep the legacy going, but not saying the responsibility of the legacy? To every, and I'm glad, Prophet Mahogany literally said it, to every seat there's a responsibility. Reuben was never taught his responsibility as the eldest child. That's why, guess what? The dysfunction could have stopped for Joseph at the conversation that we need to sell our brother. We're not divided. But you could tell that there was literally insecurity in the brothers because, again, Reuben didn't step up. Joseph was saying the betrayal. But now the thing about it was, wait, what does this get us? You built a divided house. You didn't teach, watch this, you didn't teach honor, you taught tolerance.
God.
And we have no difference between tolerance and honor. And it can look the same, but you know the truth of it when conflict happens.
Yep. How you respond.
And was revealed that, watch this, Reuben, you tolerated Joseph. You tolerated him because when the truth came out, when conflict arose, you never protected him.
Wow.
In your seat. You said you're my brother. Then where's you born for adversity? You say you're my brother. Then where are you protecting me? You're saying my, because God says the eldest brother in the absence of the father is the father's voice. So guess what? He don't even know his father's voice. Y'all don't hear this Bible. Well, I'm getting excited. That means he was unfamiliar to his father's voice because he never knew. He knew how to function, but he didn't know how to sit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. I'm gonna switch it up on you. Marquita's
Go ahead.
questions take us there because this is a really good question.
Go
So I'm gonna
ahead.
put it up there. She said, "Now let's say we are submitted.
Ah.
Let's say we are following.
Mhm.
We're doing exactly what we're supposed to do, right? In any
Mhm.
relationship across the board with your wife, your friend, whatever they are to you. Are we allowed to question those we honor? Can we bring the truth to them about their lack in character and so forth? And if so, how can you do it honorably?" That's an amazing question.
Ooh. Can we question those we honor? Yes,
Okay.
you can. All right, I want to go here. Um, Even when David was told, he shall recover all. Um, in this aspect of even questioning God, like, shall I pursue? Even when Job questioned God, questioning is not wrong. It's the spirit you do it
That's good.
in. Am I questioning your authority? Or am I like Nathan, questioning because there's something not adding up? And as a son, watch this. If I see my parent doing something wrong, I don't ever question them where other people can use their behavior against them.
That's
What
good.
I do is, hey, if you I tell you guys this. If you ever see me do something, have a conversation with me. It's timing, it's approach, it's watch this, it's words. So my job is not to tell you that you're wrong. My job is to make you aware of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to bring this to your attention. It's something I saw today. And you come and still honor the seat, honor their role, honor their office, honor their responsibility. And what I saw today just kind of made me unsettled, made me uncomfortable. Um, it just kind of just brought some questioning. May I have this conversation with you? Can you give me understanding to this? Because again, my understanding, you may be understand, and you may not have an understanding to why I had to handle a situation like this. It could look one way, but may not be. And this is the thing. If you see a questionable behavior and you brought it up, but you are seeing the detriment of this behavior, and one is reluctant to mind make you dull or dumb to it. And when I say that, I don't mean like to degrade, but to make you spiritually ignorant, then you are in danger. So it comes into purpose of ministry. Okay, use me for a moment. Um, even to my team, I'm gonna use this. There was a season, and Deontay don't laugh when I say this. I wanted to push so many different things of classes and books and 50 billion things at one time. And that's don't laugh at this either. Like every time you turn around, there was a book. Every time you turn around, there was a class. Every time you turn around, there was something. You may not think that's big, but it's big because it can do a lot to a ministry. And I, as a leader, had to hear. I don't care how much revelation I got. Pop, you're not gonna want to hear this, but you got to focus on one thing. I could have easily said, "Well, I'm the leader, and hear God. You who you talking to?" Oh, da, 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 da. All right. Yes. All right, now. All right, see now here y'all come. I see. I felt the spirit coming upon y'all,
Oh,
and
done
it's true. I'm letting y'all on here so y'all can be a testament to this. And at first, they would say it. Then I come with a new idea. They'll say, I'm like, all right, I'm listen. Come 2 weeks later, I got this idea. And they be like, this man here just won't
Kept me in intercession. Because it's funny because it's almost as if sometimes, and I'm glad you brought this up, not even for being for real,
Yeah.
because sometimes like my mom posted it and I had it up there, it says and it's not received. She said, always take it to the Lord in prayer. And I was just gonna say, like, that goes both ways for the leader and for the 1 year student. That's why we had asked that question earlier. You know what I'm saying? When they're
Yeah.
stubborn and proud, and the Lord still tells you to steward them. I love that you brought that up about the focus, because it shows that we were still able to honor you, even though we were like, oh my gosh, this
And
man
watch
is
it,
not.
they will work on things slowly. Now, this is the thing.
Yeah,
Slowly. And I was getting irritated that time. Like,
because we need a strategy
he
from
was trying
God.
to like, if I tell him this, he might go for the gasket. Because they know my temperament and different things. And I had to realize this. But this is now two things. Adonis to like y'all, my core team, I'm grateful to them. They had to trust the God in me and not Davon.
Yeah, that's true.
That though it may seem like they had to say, let him navigate this, but it's my job. Now, if you started calling now, watch this. So then I'll be a little bit more transparent. Earlier this year, many people do not know, I had a very intense medical scare. Like in the hospital, tubes, everything. Y'all don't know this, but they do. And I want to be transparent. And sometimes as leaders, we do got to bust our head.
You got to what?
And that was hard for them because I know they never said it, but there were probably times they said, I should have said something because he wouldn't have ended up here. And what now had to come about me is I had to take responsibility to say, I care enough about me that I won't hurt them with my decision making.
That's good.
So even as a leader, that
That's
when I wasn't listening, they still served because it was burning me out. But they served in a way where it was like throwing little hints. And so I started listening and question, but what it really hit, because I was still every now and little then trying to throw a little something new to even this past Saturday. My spiritual director was like, I was just writing. She's like, not another book. I said, listen, I ain't producing another book this year. I'm not doing another book. Because she was like, because I said a line, she was like, what? No more. I said, I'm not doing no more books this year. Like writing no more books. Yeah. We're gonna leave that there for another time. But just to help y'all. And reality was to go back to the question, they still served, they still threw hints, but even after I had that moment, I had to come back also. Now, this is where honor was. This is I want to hear this. I had to go back and tell them sorry. I had to go back and say, you know what? Deontay did say to focus on one thing at one time. Heston did say this. Adonis did say this. My wife said that I had to give honor that I didn't listen.
Why is that important in relationships?
Because I had to. Because even as a father, even as a leader, that if I don't affirm you and what God may have showed you in a season where it can be very detrimental to me and others, I can either make you question God or have faith in God. Let's be honest. As a leader, I groom your faith.
Now, how do you deal with that authority in any relationship, taking leader out
like
of it?
The truth of the matter is, like even for a husband and wife, like husband and wife, like even if a husband is acting up, a husband has to know how to say, like, listen, I was wrong. Because he has to now watch this, give back what he stole.
Ooh, what he stole.
Like, she has to give back what she stole. Because in my, watch this, detriment, I cause them now to question.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, I caused y'all to, even to recently, we was having a conversation and I had to make a decision. She was like, I ain't gonna tell you that. But Did I say this? And I had to say, you did. I did. You did say this. And I had to take the authority to say I was wrong.
Yeah.
See, we don't talk about this at church. We don't talk. I know this is not what the traditional conversation would be, but this is something for leaders and people that serve a leader. Because you say you want to be a second, you say you want to sit there. Can you deal with the mess up? And I talked about this earlier. When the leader does wrong,
Yeah.
when they mess up, they're human.
Wonder your
And
Eli.
say it doesn't take away what the Lord said. Because if that was the case, then the Lord should have took his hand off of you.
Ooh.
We are so quick to throw away a leader that messed up. When I have to ask, one, did you ever really pray for the leader? And number two, were you an enabler to that leader? Because sometimes we want to madden out, critique, say something about a leader that we never, no.
Can
I
I?
know you're dealing with health issues, but I always want to get you a Coca-Cola. But then when you on a respirator, I'm like, you shouldn't have been doing it. I can rebuke you for something I didn't.
Right. I'll say I was gonna add on to that too, and it's just like it's because I don't think people understand the depth of what you're saying right now, pops. Because it's like a lot of people, especially from our side over here, you know what I'm saying, those being led or those that have brother and sisters, we'll be in this place
Mhm.
where we like and you just said something, and I think my answer to that is, you ready to get on them and this is that. I feel like because there's a premeditation of waiting for your downfall or disaster. There is something. Here's this, and I believe you and my manager talked about this last week when y'all were on. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. And it's like, who are you proving something to? Because when you feel like you have to prove something to somebody, here's the thing. We always treat other people how we treat ourselves. Can I help you? We
Help
treat
the people,
people
Deontay. Help
how
them.
we treat
Help them.
ourselves. You may not want to admit that. You may not think that you be like, no, that's not true. It's true. I'm telling you from experience. I'm telling you from interacting with tons of people, and I may be young, but I'm an old head. I've had enough experience to know
The grandpa.
that you treat people how you treat yourself. And so if you are feeling like you have to prove something because the little boy or little girl in you never healed properly or didn't even weren't even taught how to heal properly, you will push these things off over the people that the Lord is placing in your life to help you. It doesn't matter if they're a leader or a brother or a sister or a friend. When you have friends and you on a relationship, you check up on that friend. It's not just a needs base, or it's not just when it benefits you. It's the genuine heart that checks up on them. And that's I just want to talk to that because it's like we don't think about that. We feel like, oh, we should be the ones just apologize and stuff like that. But leaders should. We grew up in this culture in church. Let's be real, where leaders will talk to you crazy at the drop of a dime and say, "Oh, well, you should know my heart," and you dare not say nothing crazy back. And that does put people in a place where you just spoke to something very vital. You can either affirm us in God or pull us away from Him. And that's almost like looking at the scripture. If you cause any one of my little ones, because we're still His children, you are the shepherd, causing my little ones to sin, it'd be better to what? Tie a chain around your neck and get an anchor and jump into the deepest depths of the sea. It'd be better if you was
Yeah.
dead,
Yeah.
suicide. If you
Yeah.
cause them to pull away from me, and that's very deep because a bunch of leaders on here or may catch the replay or not on here, they don't understand that in today's time. That's something we don't do anymore. Honor is a two-way street, and you treat people how you treat yourself. And this is where honor truly comes in. He said it earlier. Can you honor yourself before you try to ask somebody else to honor you?
And I think something that person Randy put, is sometimes we treat them a little better than ourselves. That's
Yes.
how you've been treated. And the reality is
I love
because
that.
we want at this the part to go what you said. We also got to be honest with the hidden motive. We want you to affirm me in something.
Yeah.
And when you don't meet the ethic of affirmation, then I think you rejected me. But
Mhm.
I can't affirm you in something that's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
My job is to bring maturity to your life, and I think that's any relationship. There, a relationship,
That's good.
honor up, like honor, and that's a
Oh,
reality. I think,
yeah.
and I think this is the part that even when there's disgruntled, even when there's hardship in a relationship, even when there's conflict, you can't don't change up your language. Don't
Yeah.
change up your behavior. You have to become more intentional because what the enemy is looking for is the leak of that relationship.
Yeah.
That you have to become more intentional. That if something goes left and something happens, or like you have to find why are we doing this? You have to find the why. You gotta regroup. You gotta see, okay, how do we not happen again? Assess yourself. And this is the biggest thing to any leader that's serving others. Deal with where you are, so that you can properly deal with those who you're leading. Because if you don't assess who you are, you'll have a hidden expectation, burden, problems. And those that serve a leader, assess and where you are with your leader. And when I say that, assess it, it's like I want them to show up for me, but have I been showing up for them?
Mm.
Um, what season are they in? How does showing up for me in this season look? Because in each season it looks different. But then also when there is conflict, because there will be conflict,
Yeah.
come back together immediately. Don't let it linger. And this is the part I'm going to say. It's not about who comes to one first.
Yeah.
It's about the action. Because there's sometimes where
I'm
the
just
leader is going to come to the child, but then sometimes when the child is like, you know what, I was wrong, or this was
going.
me. And sometimes it's like not water under the bridge. I don't want to say that water under the bridge, but it's like, okay, now what are we focusing on? Because I'm being honest with you, the reason why a lot of relationships are having conflict because we don't have a keen focus.
Can I add to that?
Sure,
The reason why a lot of these relationships don't have honor as well is because we don't understand that every relationship is a covenant.
that is the truth.
We treat them like they're subject to be replaced, reanalyzed, removed. And then you wonder why you so damaged. We wonder why we're so broken. We wonder why rejection always finds us. You know what I'm saying? Why loneliness always finds us. It's because we're not understanding that these relationships are covenants. And God is a covenant keeping God. So if He gave you the covenant, let's say this, some of the covenants you're in are not going to be permanent. Although a covenant is meant to be forever, everlasting, some of the covenants you're in are not going to be permanent. And when it comes to honor and relationships, we have to understand that honor begins with recognizing why this covenant was formed. Like he said, remembering the why about everything. A lot of relationships, we have to look at them and really ask ourselves the question of, is there honor in this relationship? And if it is not, is this a covenant I walked into and accepted on my own will, not God's? Because everybody cannot pay for what we go through in other covenants. Because the damage that's caused from past relationships, those are broken covenants. That's why he says one shall not have sex until marriage, right? Soul ties. That's a story for another day, but it goes with the fact of honor. And you know that saying, it says you lay down with a dog, you get up with fleas. Every time you lay down with somebody, you're leaving with something. A piece of them, they're leaving with a piece of you. And then you're wondering why we're lost in this world, trying to understand who we are, where we are, what we're doing, why we can't get honor, why we can't receive honor. Honor doesn't make sense to us. We don't even know what it looks like. It's because we've given ourselves to so many different covenants before honoring a covenant with God first. If you are not honoring your covenant with God, every other covenant, i.e., relationship, will lack honor because you will lack honor for yourself. Your honor first starts with you seeking ye first his kingdom and all of his righteousness. He had a relationship with you before you got on this earth. And with that being said, what can you give us tonight, Apostle? Like some how to's or what have you on first, on like the strategy, the blueprint of following honor through with God first, then yourself, and so forth. I didn't say it too, but amen.
No, I think you said it really key. And I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be really something short and simple, prayerfully. But it's simply this: you cannot demonstrate something you haven't been taught.
Yeah.
Honor has to be taught. So I'm gonna be very honest with you. You cannot come into spiritual relationships with soulless concepts of honor. You have to really learn honor, and you learn that through submission. So the reality is, and this might lead into deeper series or conversations later. Something I told a while ago, and I think something we kind of talked about, kind of doing a segment on or whatever. We got to learn sonship.
Yeah.
If you don't know sonship, if you don't know discipleship, you will not know honor.
Can honor be sought after, or does it come with the submission?
It comes with this. It comes naturally with the submission. Like you can, if you seek out honor, you can seek out the wrong thing. And that sometimes can be, if I'm seeking for you to honor me, watch this. I'm seeking you to value me. I can go into performance mode. I can go into entitlement. If the most, because this is what honor is value. Honor is authority. Honor, it comes with a lot. So if I'm seeking after it, it doesn't come genuinely, it can be manipulated or manipulative.
Okay.
Where I can want honor for something to get gain, or I can give honor to somebody to gain something. So this is where the organicness that I want you to see the honor in me. So even though I could feel that I'm something to you and you something to me, if you don't seek after this, then there's no honor in that, because again, and there's no hidden motive. There's no hidden. So I can honor, watch this. I can see someone being my spiritual child. But if they don't see that in themselves, they won't honor my poor. And then I'll feel rejected. Then I will feel all this. It has to be organic. That's why we have to realize what we honor, we value, we respect, we put investment into. And this is the thing, like, and that it really goes to. Don't force it. Because honor takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time to build. Relationships take time to grow and to sharpen and to fasten. So that's why you gotta learn submission. Because submission takes time. Discipleship takes time. Jesus took 3 years before he put his hands on somebody. Like in the sense of affirming or sending. We want to be, watch this, we want to be a disciple today, but a son tomorrow. We want to be a son today, then be a successor tomorrow. That takes time. Watch this. Real success in ministry or as a son. I really want to ask this question to you, not to you, but to us tonight. Are we the prodigal son?
My God.
Are we asking for something before something dies? The son asking the father for his riches before he transitioned was saying, hurry up and die because you ain't die fast enough. It was dishonoring to ask for the inheritance before the father dies, because that was for your reign. And then the reality is you're asking for something before the season, because the reality is you're not even the next in line. Your brother is. Unless the father chooses another son or changes the law. So you're trying to, watch this, when you don't properly submit, you are trying to cause disruption to God's order. And you got to deal with God.
Yes, you do.
And that's why he got to the part where he said, wait, even the slaves in my father's house eat better than this. You got so low that you was eating beneath the slave. Because the reality is we have to deal with, watch this, the silent expectation we have for our leaders. The silent expectation we have for our husbands and wives. The silent expectation we got for our brothers and our sisters. That we have not addressed for, watching our family dysfunction.
Yeah.
You understand? Your hidden expectation. Well, why you are a leader?
Why are you a husband?
Are you leading from rejection, or are you leading from assignment?
Yeah.
Because if you're leading from rejection, you have an expectation of your sons and daughters that they shouldn't be fulfilling. And this is where it gets convoluted, as my wife loves to say, it gets convoluted. Because the reality is this. I'm about to say something really hard. And I'm just going to look at you when I say it. Because I don't want the people to get offended. I want to look at the comments. Have we made the right decisions with the relationships and the role that they should serve.
Mm.
Because you may have the right, you may, you may know the, you may know the role, but you may put the wrong person in the seat.
Yeah.
Because this how do you know that, prophet?
I've done
And
it
you shall know them
by the fruit.
by their fruit.
Yeah. I've done that before, uh just being honest, that's a really powerful, deep question that I feel like we all need to ask ourselves, because even with you, I had to sit down and ask myself, did I place you right? You know what I'm saying? Did I hear God correctly for where you're supposed to be that way? And it wasn't a question of who you are to me. It was more so making sure I didn't do anything out of emotion. I didn't do anything out of presumption. I didn't do anything because I wanted you to be these things, but because God wanted you to be these things. And this is a very big thing that we have to ask ourselves, because I did put somebody in a place of a spiritual father that was never a spiritual father. But since I had daddy issues, I wanted a father, right? I wasn't talking to mine. So I wanted one. I felt like I needed one. I felt like I needed one, right? And the Lord allowed me to fall in that so that I can understand that just because I think somebody goes somewhere, if it's not what God said, that's not what it needs to be. Sometimes we'll actually, and this is the honorable thing to do as well. Like, even when you do place somebody in that wrong position, you know what I'm saying? Once you are aware of that, you tell them about that. You don't let that sit there, or you don't let them stay in that spot where it's just going on. You tell them, so that way you can actually be released and free yourself and actually go and do and put the right person there so you can become who you need to become. And that's the reality of it. A lot of times, when I would say this, and y'all might not like me for it, and it's okay, there's a lot of times that we are aware when we have made the wrong move, but we let shame, guilt, and pride keep us from addressing it. And so we sit in a dysfunction. And this is why we get irritated. And then when we have the right person come along in our lives, the right spouse, the right brother, sister, pastor, son, daughter, whatever position you want to look at it from, when we have the right one come, we have them in this place of limbo expectation, and they're trying to figure out, like, hey, why am I getting all this backlash? Why I'm getting all this heat? I just met you. And it's because you are allowing shame and pride and stuff to keep you down in this one area. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where we go from jumping from one honorable situation to another. I didn't find honor in this. I see this as dishonorable, when really you were the one dishonorable to yourself. And it wasn't even the person that you placed there. You placed them in that position, and it didn't belong. And so that's a powerful question, because that speaks directly to honoring. Again, the main thing we're talking about is the honor code. Tonight is about relationships, but it speaks solely to you honoring yourself. Are you honoring yourself? How are you honoring yourself? What does that look like to honor yourself? Is it in God, or is it in what you want? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves, like, for real. I know me and Prophet up here talking, but this is like what we really, this is not a game, it's not a joke. This is serious. One day the Lord is coming back, and and I tell my wife this all the time, because I be so serious. You are literally going to be in this place where, when you go, the way I've seen it in my revelatory from God, okay? So this is my Rima, Deontay's understanding of what the Lord revealed to me, is there's going to be this big screen off to the side. The courtroom is going to look similar to how I look here on earth, because everything that is exists in heaven, everything on earth existed in heaven already. So it's the same. Well, that's where we get all of this from. This isn't falling out thin air. The creation of God always amazes me, because the way I seen it was, I saw this big screen. You know, when they bring the TV in and be like, let's roll the footage so they can count it into the document. Your whole life, from the point you were responsible, what I believe is the age of 12, for your life, all the way on up, will be played on that screen. And for every discrepancy that you did not correct, that you did not give to God, you will have to answer for. And I need you to get this. That could be in words. Smallest thing. You don't even think about it. You saying a word, or you speaking a word curse. It could be as small as that. It don't have to be a blimp in the sky. And when your life is literally being played before you, you have to give an explanation as to why You did not correct this when you had the tools. We are a people like the one Ezekiel was sent to, stubborn. We know the truth. We know what we have to fix, but yet we still sit in this place where we don't. How are you honoring yourself? You got to get in a place where you need to figure that question out. That needs to be a question for everybody. How are you honoring yourself? And am I doing it right? How do I do it right? Find somebody to teach you. Get under somebody. Get under some weight because you're going to have to answer. And I don't mean to scare you. I'm just giving you the truth. You're going to have to answer for why you didn't honor something that God placed in your hands when he's giving you all the tools to. And your answer can't be, oh, because of my wife, like Adam. Your answer cannot be because I didn't see it. It can't be, I don't know. Pop may get on me and I'm gonna laugh at myself, but I used to say to him when he asked me questions, even recently he was asking me some questions. My answer was what? I don't know. That's alarming. That means I had to go sit and I had to ask myself, why is that answer that? Because it shouldn't be if I'm honoring what I'm doing. And this is the reality of this. You have to ask yourself these tough questions. This is very hard. This is not easy. I don't know why people keep selling church as this easy dream or these big mega churches, but they're not showing the story. They're not showing the depth. They're not showing the honor it took. They're not showing how some of them had to get sit down and be broken down completely and being rebuilt all the way back up. But you see their fruits now and you think they're just this great, amazing preacher, but they're being authentic, but you're idolizing them and making them a God because you don't know what honor is to yourself. If you can't honor yourself, you won't honor the gift that God gives you, which is the leader, the husband, the wife, the spouse.
I want to ask you a question. I felt like I want you to speak to those that serve leaders, walk with leaders. What are two things you would give to them and understand that because I feel like there's a duality on this tonight. They're the senior leaders, and then we have the sons.
Mm-hmm.
When I say sons, of female and male, but I want you to speak to them about even your journey, what they need to understand in being a son and being a daughter, even more deeper to keeping the honor, or how to analyze you may not be honoring, and what should they do. So how do they keep the honor? And then secondly, how do they recognize if they're not honoring?
The way you keep the honor is the way Samuel did. Stay submitted. The thing is, we have Eli's in our life. One of the assignments my pops gave me a while ago, my leader, I had to study the art of submission. And it was something the Lord wanted to do in me. And so it was something the Lord was trying to get me to do. And I'm like, I don't want to confront that. I don't want to deal with that. Long and behold, he made my leader give it to me for homework, saying, in other words, you're not going to ignore this, you're going to do it. The art of submission. I had to really ask myself, why was it so hard for me to submit? Right. And so how do you maintain honor? You maintain submission. No matter what happens. Eli did not get, like he said earlier, he didn't get jealous of Samuel. And even though he couldn't hear the voice of God, Eli still instructed him. Samuel still wanted him to give him guidance and instruction on what he should do because that was still his leader. Regardless of what Eli was doing in that temple, regardless of his eyesight being gone, regardless of what his sons was he was allowing his sons to do, you know what I'm saying? That was still his leader. He slept on the floor by the Ark of the Covenant every night, but that was still his leader. It didn't matter what nobody said about him in the temple or outside the temple when Samuel went, but that was still his leader. You know the heart of your leader, but you know the vision of God. That's how you maintain honor. That's how you maintain it. You stay submitted. You know the heart of your leader, but you know the vision of God because they're submitted unto the vision. They're submitted unto the vision. And so knowing their heart will put you in this place of looking beyond their character, looking beyond what they're not saying that they probably should be saying. Looking beyond those things, it will show you how to intercede with for them. It'll show you how to approach them. You will learn these things. That's why I asked him that question: does it come naturally as you sit under? Sit under, in other words, is to submit, and it does. You know what I'm saying? Because the longer you sit, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more honor just comes naturally. It sounds crazy, but you got to try it. Okay. Submission is how you maintain honor. Okay. Now, in terms of identifying how that you are not maintaining honor, and I'm gonna say this lightly because I don't want anybody on here to think that, oh, if I'm rebuttaling something my leader is saying, that I'm just what's the word? Belligerent, you know what I'm saying, or I'm not believing what they're saying, or I'm being rebellious, or I'm being hard or difficult. The way to identify that honor is lacking is that your submission is questionable. So if I'm in a place where my leader is asking me to do something and I'm in this place where I'm just questioning why he's doing what he's doing, you know what I'm saying? And what does this matter? And this and that, this don't make no sense. I told him we should do this and da 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 and this and that. That's a place for you to understand that your honor is in a place where it's at risk. It's not necessarily uprooted just yet, but that's a alarming sign. Hey, you're questioning everything they do. Now, some things like Marquita asks, can we ask questions? Yes, you can. There's a way to do it and there's a way to go about it. And then as my madre says, as Prophet Mahogany said all the time, when they don't listen, you take it to the Lord in prayer, because I'm telling you that works too. It was for months. I was telling him to focus on one thing. I ain't trying to put you out there too much, but it was months. And you know, and I'm gonna be real, because sometimes leaders will put you in this space and tell you to do something on their behalf, and you do it, right? And he spoke to that maturity. And so it's not your job to convince them of what the Lord said, but it is
Say
your
it
job.
again.
It's
Say
not
it
your
again.
job to convince them of what the Lord said. But it
Yeah.
is your job to be the mouthpiece of God, whether you are a prophet or whatever area he called you to operate in, to give the guidance that was instructed of you. Whether they receive it or not is up to them. But that's when you know that there's a covenant with you and that person, and their life is attached to yours. The honor comes in, and hey, he didn't listen to me, but I know he'll listen to God because I got it from God. How
And I
do
want to say
you
something to that. I want to say something to that. He also ain't gonna tell you something that you ain't doing yourself.
that?
Because sometimes we want to rebuke or correct it, but
Yeah.
are you living it? But God can use you as a son to get somebody if you demonstrate it. So I want to clear that up, because then he no. Take what's the scripture you like to say? Take the plank.
Out of your eye before you try to move out of somebody else's. Yeah. And so that's how you check if your submission is tainted. How do you get back to a place of it being fixed or reconciled?
Yeah.
You go on your face. Sometimes you may have to fast. Sometimes you may have to sit. You may have to cut back from social media. When you notice something alarming, you need to stop immediately. I don't care if my wife want to spend time, if somebody want to go out and get something, and I would tell her the same thing. You belong to God before you ever belong to me.
Yeah.
So your honor to yourself is always going to be more important than you being my wife, because that's to God. If you don't know what your vow is, your main vow from birthright is honor.
Yeah.
Literally. And so when it comes to correcting it, you have to be in this place where you're willing to go before the face of the Lord, where you're like David. David was able to admit his wrongs and his faults. When he was addressed, the Lord had told him his punishment. He said he was going to publicly humiliate him. But in my mind, I always say David didn't care, because he said, whatever you do, don't take your hand off of me.
Yeah.
He was submitted no matter what. That's honor. And when he was corrected and his honor was checked, like by Nathan, hey, this is the alarming factor, he went immediately and he got it fixed. Even when he went to fast for his child, it was still for the Lord's will to be done, because he understood that I needed to fix this
And,
now.
and I'm glad you said that. And I want to say this too, because deep saints want to say, "Oh well, I sat with the Lord." If you also dishonored, you need to go physically make it right.
Yes,
Do
that
not
too.
spiritually bypass what I said with Jesus and the Lord rebuked me. You need to have the conversation. What's wrong? This is what I'm doing. What is the act of moving forward? Because if you don't do that, you leave. That's from leader to spiritual child and shared child. You and we can attest. Leaving that question open, leaving that unspoken, can cause a disarray of things. And you think someone has this. Cut. Don't leave the room
Yeah,
for misinterpretation.
yeah. It's what you said earlier. I'm either gonna any because a lot of it. Here's the thing: we all think that leaders are the ones that drive us toward or away from God. Sons and daughters, we can do the same thing to them. So don't have a manipulative spirit up on you. Don't do it. So it's what he said earlier. I can either affirm you or push you further away from him. And again, I want you to remember that scripture. It'll be better because that's still a son of God over there. That's still a child of God. Even though I'm a son under him, that's still a child of God. So that's why even my Madre, I love this. She said up, down, all around. It goes all ways. It's not just from servant to leader, it's leader to servant as well. And we see this in scripture. So it's not just us toting no words in your face. There's facts for this in the Bible that we could pull out and show you. So when it comes down to it, you have to understand that we can affect them as much as well, like he just said. And that's a big thing because from sons and daughters perspectives, we don't think about that. We just be wanting them to show up for us and do everything for us. But what we do can affect their walk as well. What you do affects those around you, i.e., the covenants, the relationships you have. And so that was just good. That was real good because, yeah, that's possible
I,
always.
I'm glad we said that. I think we have to understand, you know, you, and I'm glad you said it because I think people got to take into account. Did I cause my leader to question God?
Yeah.
Did I, because of my, and I think one of the times, and not to put too much, but one time he had apologized to me, and I was like, okay. He was like, Pop, I apologize for my responses making you question what God told you for me.
Yeah. Because that was
that
real.
that
That's what I
that
did.
meant a lot because me and you had a talk and it was like, sometimes I wasn't, not that I was afraid, it's just like, sometimes as a human you don't want to, and that's just natural, doesn't that you're afraid of anything. Sometimes you don't want, certain, you have a certain mindset or expectation of something. And we
Hmm.
said that was liberating. Some time back, he was like, hey, I apologize for my behavior. I apologize for making you not say what you need to say. And you said, like, no, tell me. And then you said to those around, like, I'm not exempt. I'm not exempt. I'm not
Yeah.
like there, and I think that tonight, I hope people are just not just hearing what we're saying. We're kind of put even our relationship on this screen that, again, it's a mutuality.
Yeah.
Yes, there is, and I don't say hierarchy, there's authority, but there's a mutuality of relationship understanding, and one's role and responsibility, but seeing what am I doing to this relationship? How am I helping or benefiting? What am I doing? Where am I at? Different things, because again, your season impacts your relationships across the board. And so I'm grateful to tonight to have this conversation. It definitely was, I think it was really good. Now,
Man.
it definitely went longer than expected. I think you need to tonight. We're gonna put you on the timer, because you love to say we can go tonight. You went, sir.
I'm a
But these
product
questions
of the environment.
was great. And I'll be honest with you, we're gonna figure out. I think the last week's conversation and this week's conversation definitely needs a part two to it. Think unpacking some more. So I'm grateful to the Lord that you
Yes.
came on here. Go ahead. I'm just going to say this last thing. I'm just grateful to you with the questions you came tonight. I'm grateful to you, and I want to say this. I'm proud of you because it was not easy being vulnerable, being honest, putting yourself out there, but literally having this moment tonight. I really want to listen. Let her. It's fine. Listen, mine's over here quiet. Listen. I'm grateful to you. Um, laugh. Listen, I'm grateful to you, honestly, that you were you tonight, and I honor you tonight for that. Um, I'm proud of you. Um, Tonight showed a lot in your development and your growth. Um, and I just wanted to say that I'm proud of you tonight. Can y'all in the comments just tell Deontay how you're proud of him, y'all him tonight? Because I'm telling you, this was not easy. You have seen a changed man,
My
and I
God.
really want to say that to you. I'm proud of you. Go ahead.
All right, my bad. I didn't mean to do it again.
we needed that. Go ahead
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
and
Papa.
close out. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, this was Honor Code, the series of honor in relationships. I will say this: if the relationship has no fruit, there's no honor. Okay. Easiest way to tell if you're honoring or dishonoring something. And I'm not telling you, Deontay is not saying go reevaluate everybody in your life right now. But I'm just
Tell
telling
him.
you to be honest, about where you are and where the person is. And of course, remember to see the value that God placed upon the thing. If there is no fruit, there's more than likely no honor. They go hand in hand. Okay, fruit and honor always be together. Apostle, we thank you so much. We bless the Lord for your anointing, your gift, your submission, and your vulnerability as well. I'm also very proud of you because, yes, it's also, we know it's not easy at all. Even doing it for a long time, it's still never easy. There's always that or that gut feeling to it. And I really appreciate you for having this conversation. We definitely need a part two. I did go a long time. I didn't even notice time. I was just chilling with God. And so I used to talk about them bad, y'all, behind the scenes, him and my
I mean,
moderator.
see the sons. Yeah, I mean,
But
go off on a got
being up
2 hours.
there, it was different. I
Think you
kid you
good.
because we're hitting about 2 hours. And so, with that, we thank y'all. We honor you guys. We thank you for being a part of us and sticking this long. Because for some of y'all, it's like 10 p.m., 9 o'clock. Where do you do that? Listen, though, if you guys are wanting more of this depth, more of this understanding, we have Bible studies every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And it's at tinyurl.com/emerge Bible. We in Zoom class. It's more intimate, more closed off that you be able so maybe you maybe get all your questions answered, everything you need. Again, that's tinyurl.com/emerge Bible. I urge y'all to get in the room. We help you emerge. Okay. We don't help you stay stagnant, but we help you emerge. There will be a torch under your butt, but it'll be a good one. It'll force you to move because you will understand that you need more than what you think. And it has done many wonders for me, my home, my wife, and all the other members that are in there. And so, if you want more of this, don't just stick with us on Monday, stick with us on Tuesday as well. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all, and we cannot wait to see y'all next time. God bless y'all, and may the Lord be with you. Grace and peace.
See y'all next week, guys.